Welcome to another episode of Angel in the Afternoon. 97. My God, we're almost at 100. Almost at 100. I mean, I've been doing this for over year and a half now, nearly 2. But my name is Andrew Rivera, and we got, once again, Alex Knight, and how we doing?
Doing fine.
Good, good, good. Yeah, I'm fine. Just, there's a lot to talk about this week, and
Yeah.
it's mostly going to cover we're gonna cover the whole, like, Russia-Ukraine thing alongside a few other things, so that'll be later in the show, as well as, not the Trump administration's plans to allow Israel to annex the West Bank. That's probably gonna start happening next week at some point, so look forward we'll
We
talk
should
about
probably
that as
also talk
well.
about those Trump journalists or whatever you want to call them. Getting those Epstein binders or
Yeah,
whatever.
that's too much. That's ridiculous. That was turned out to be a total waste of time because there was nothing in them. It's
Yeah.
literally just bleh, it's like,
We should probably also
here.
mention the Trump sharing that Gaza video like a couple days ago.
Oh, yeah. Well, that one too, but yeah, I mean, we can definitely touch on that. Uh-oh. Oh,
I just
yeah.
want to mention one thing for those who might be wondering, maybe noticing that my bed looks a little different. I just want to make sure that a few days ago, the wood blocks under it, came off and the bed sort of collapsed a bit. So we're working on, trying to fix my bed at some point. But that's why it's looking like that for now. So just for those who are wondering,
Okay.
so, yeah.
Okay. So yeah, so as everybody knows, on yesterday, whatever it was, so a bunch of Trump influencers got their hands or were handed like the Epstein list, the alleged Epstein list, or at least it was part one, they claimed. And it turned out to be nothing. It was just a waste of time. Everybody got owned for it. Like, everybody, even a lot of Trump supporters were upset about this. It's like there's nothing here. And of course,
Yeah.
the administration is kind of backpedaling, and or the Attorney General in particular. Oh no, well, the FBI, they're destroying files, and we have to stop them. And it's not our fault. It's their fault. Basically, trying to throw the FBI under the bus here.
And this is where
Or
you put that MAGA fool meme again that,
no,
Snow and
that
those have been sharing.
yeah, that meme, and yeah. So basically, they look like idiots. These podcasters, and it was just embarrassing. It was just it's a total waste of time. And all we got was just, oh well, we got these binders, and they were all kind of dancing around like idiots.
No, I think that was AI. I don't think that
You'd
was
think,
real.
oh,
Yeah.
okay, so but basically it was this. Hold on, oops. Basically, it was just this. It was a bunch of right wing influencers that got their hands on alleged. So it was basically this. They were all kind of smiling, and it's like I know that picture's fake, but these two there are a bunch more influencers that got it too. Like,
That lips
that's
TikTok
Lips of
girl.
TikTok. Forget her name, but yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, there are a few others that got it too, but they all got it. They were all smiling with it and posing with it. They all took selfies with it too. Whoever there are pictures with it. Whoever whoever got it. So let's look at this is apparently a picture of part of the file. It's literally what was released. Is everything's just blacked out. Allegedly, again, I don't know. People there's so much fake stuff on Twitter now that it's really hard to figure out what's real and what isn't. But I wouldn't be surprised if that's what they released, because at this point it's just, yeah, here we go. These are some of the influencers that got it. It's actually real influencers. I know. So this is some of the people who got it. I've seen this guy on the internet. He's pro
yeah,
Trump.
I've seen him too. Yeah, I
Um,
forget his name,
this
but yeah,
is lives at TikTok again. That's some other dude. I don't know who this
I
is.
believe the one in the middle isn't she from One American News Network?
Yeah, she could be. I've seen her face before. I just don't know people's names. The only person I know there lives at TikTok, and I've seen a lot of these other people, but I don't know who they are. So I've seen their faces at
There's
least. So,
Jack, what's his name? Back there with the
oh, Brasovic.
background. Yeah,
Hmm. Yeah, okay. There, he got one too, I think. So they all got these files, which are mostly blacked out. Apparently, and not much there. Wasn't much. The administration and the Department of Justice, in particular, kind of backpedaling from this.
by the
And
way, you're not
what?
showing our
What?
faces on the screen.
Oh, oh, our faces are not here, ladies and gentlemen. We've disappeared, but our voices are still here. So bear with me 1 second. Um.
There we go.
All right. Yeah, that works. Sorry, you can't see our faces, but there it is. But yeah, that it's just a total waste of time. And we got allegedly they were supposed to release more files today at 5. It's 7:10, and there's no files being released, so they're not going to release any more files today. Apparently, the FBI is still destroying files, even though the people in charge of the FBI now totally pro-Trump. So we got a Cash Patel and the other dude, the other
Yeah,
podcast,
yeah, the
Don,
guy was from I
Don,
don't think he's from Fox News, but he's a podcast. He was a
yeah,
podcaster.
he's a Trump supporting podcaster. He took
Yeah,
over as deputy director of the FBI. So that makes liberals, they'll melt down even more with that. Like up, he just appointing his friends and supporters is like, okay, I
you
don't
mean
really
like
care.
what everyone does?
Yeah, yeah, like I don't really care about the FBI. So it's like, oh well, you got two people with no experience. Like, who cares? The FBI shouldn't be there anyway, so they can go fuck themselves. But now I wanted to bring up a couple more stories here. As everybody knows, the actor Gene Hackman passed away a couple days ago under mysterious circumstances. Yeah, and they were mysterious too, because not only did he pass
His
away, but
wife and dog died.
yeah, yeah,
But
they
they did a
all
test. Yeah, and I was gonna say it shows it there that it was negative for carbon monoxide. So
yeah. Actor Gene Hackman and wife found dead in Santa Fe home. An update: Santa Fe County Sheriff Adam Mendoza said their bodies tested negative for carbon monoxide, but the cause of death to not be determined as of Friday. Well, with Gene Hackman first, I heard it. I assumed that, oh, well, it has to be carbon monoxide poisoning. That's the only thing that makes sense because they're all found dead. It's not just.
or if they were all dead at the same place, same time, I was thinking, what if it's another?
Oh,
I know I shouldn't be laughing, but another Chris Benoit situation, if you know what I
oh
mean.
God, yeah, yeah. I mean, that's. So according to this two-time Oscar-winning actor Gene Hackman and his wife Betsy Arakawa were found dead in their home. A spokesman for the Santa Fe County Sheriff told KOAT deputies were called to the home on Wednesday afternoon following 911 call. Santa Fe blah blah said their causes of death cannot be determined. However, he did say Hackman and Arakawa tested negative for carbon monoxide poisoning. Mendoza also said the pacemaker of Hackman turned off on Monday, February 17th. So he had a pacemaker, it's off on Monday. That tells me he might have died on Monday then. At least he did.
Yeah.
According to the search warrant filed by the Santa Fe County Sheriff Office, a maintenance worker doing pest control could not get a hold of the couple. He reached out to neighborhood security for a welfare check. Just before 1:45 p.m., a 911 call was made. I think we found one or two deceased persons inside the house for purchase here. A man said to emergency dispatchers, I'm not inside the house. It's closed, it's locked, but I can see them. She's lying face down on the floor from the window. Deputies found Hackman near the kitchen, which is believed to be the mudroom. His cane and sunglasses were found by his body. Arakawa was found in a bathroom with a space heater nearby. A warrant revealed that there was an open prescription bottle on the counter and pills were scattered everywhere. Now that's interesting. What kind of pills were they? According to search warrant, deputies believe, based on experience and evidence in the home, the couple suddenly fell. Santa Fe Sheriff Hannah Mendoza said there were no signs of foul play, but has not been ruled out. Law enforcement is waiting for the autopsy results as well as toxicology reports, which the article updates in the headline that there were no carbon monoxide. During the search, deputies found the front door home ajar, but did not find any signs of forced entry or did not see any items taken or rummaged through. That ruled out robbery. Santa Fe Fire Department responded and did not find any signs of carbon monoxide leak or poisoning. New Mexico Gas Company responded to the home as well as doing testing lines on the gas line, according to court documents. It was learned that by law enforcement that there was no evidence of any problems in the pipe connected to the residence. The bodies of Hackman Awakawa were transported to the Office of Medical Investigator for autopsies to be performed. No external trauma was found during that process. Carbon monoxide poisoning and blah blah blah. They already revealed that results. Court records also showed several items taken at the home. 6 items were listed and provided. Two green colored cell phones, thyroid medication. I don't know what this word is. I don't know. I have
Yeah, I don't know either.
some type of medication. Let me look it up. It's a calcium channel blocker. It works by affecting the movement of calcium into the cells of the heart and blood vessels. This relaxes the blood vessels, lower blood pressure medication. Basically, what it that's what it says on Google at least. Tylenol, health related records in a 2025 monthly calendar planner that was taken. Santa Fe's county sheriff's office and the Santa Fe Fire Department hold a press conference Friday at 3 p.m., which already happened, I assume, to give an update. Actually, no, because that's West Coast time, so it would have just happened. Uh, to give update on the investigation. Hackman's daughters Elizabeth and Leslie, along with his granddaughter Annie, released a statement on their death. It is a great sadness that we announce the passing of our father, Gene Hackman, and his wife, Betsy. He was loved and admired by millions around the world for his brilliant acting career, but to us, he was always his dad and grandpa. We were missing sorely and devastated by the loss. So let's see, Hackman, 95. He was. I knew he was over 90, but 95. Wow, five-time Oscar nominee, starred in dozens of films, and one of the industry's most respected and honored performers. His two Oscar wins were for The French Connection and Unforgiven, were spaced out at 21 years apart. Hackman played a variety of roles, appearing in action movies, thrillers, and even appearing in a comedic part in Young Frankenstein. The gruff but beloved Hackman was among the finest actors of his generation, appearing as villains, heroes, and anti-heroes in dozens of drama, comedies, and action films from the 1960s until his retirement in the early 2000s. Hackman and Arakawa, blah blah. So basically, this is like his life story, which you can. In his later years, he wrote novels. Hackman had 3 children from a previous marriage. So yeah, so we still don't have much more information as of now. It's very mysterious to me personally. I think that there has to be either some foul play or it was some sort of deletion pact. We've seen older couples do this where they both die, could agree to die at the same time, or because this is just strange, I mean, unless I'm not. I know Hackman's 95, so if he falls, then it's very difficult for him to get up. But his wife was only in his 60s, so it's weird that they both ended up dead, in different parts of the house. And the dog is also dead, so it's very mysterious to me. I would like to see more information eventually. I'm sure they'll release more information because this is like Gene Hackman, one of the greatest actors in history of Hollywood and an Oscar winner. So that police will definitely follow up on this.
Yeah.
So let's see. That's all the information we have for that. So we also have to. Could be he passed. He fell into a deep depression and took her life with pills, and filled said pills, and the dog ate some. That's plausible, Sean. I mean, that's very plausible. That he died first because, according to the article, his pacemaker turned off on Monday, which would mean he died on Monday, which would tell me that she must have died. And hey India, you doing? Sean is here with us. So yeah, unfortunately, that's very plausible. That's a very plausible. I didn't even think of that as like, yeah, he died first. She deleted herself, and then the dogs ate the pills, and he died next. So unfortunate if that's most that could be a likely scenario, and if that's it, at least there's nothing mysterious about it. But as of now, it's still a mystery. So let's see. Let's talk about the Pope because he's dying too, as everybody. Pope Francis experiences respiratory relapse. So he's been in and out. He's
I
been
think
in.
I heard. I thought I heard that he was no longer in critical condition.
Oh no, he's back in critical condition now. I mean, he had another relapse, according. So Pope Francis has experienced a fresh breathing difficulties as he's entered a third week of treatment in a Rome hospital. According to the Vatican press office in a statement issued Friday. Early Friday afternoon, he experienced what the Vatican called an isolated bronchospasm crisis, which is followed by an episode of vomiting with inhalation and suddenly worsening of the respiratory condition. Friday morning, the Vatican said he spent time doing breathing focused physiotherapy and praying in the hospital chapel before the bronchospasm, a technical term for the tightening of a windpipe that can make breathing feel difficult. His medical team reacted by placing Francis on a ventilator with a mask and said that based on measurements of oxygen in his blood, he had responded well to the treatment. The Pope remained alert and oriented at all times, the Vatican office statement said, collaborating in the therapeutic maneuvers. In recent days, doctors said the pontiff seemed to be stabilizing, but after several successive nights where he said he slept peacefully, but following Friday afternoon, the Vatican says his prognosis remains reserved. The Geminili Hospital in Rome has now housed him for almost 2 weeks, and doctors have continued to warn that his medical condition remains critical, and that twice daily updates have drawn the close attention of devout Catholics worldwide. Earlier in the week, his medical team shared that he
Forgot to
went
put a
under.
space there between worldwide and earlier.
Oh well, what is it? Yeah, that's true. What is it with these? This is from the AP. I mean, these professional corporate media outlets don't proofread their articles now. And
Yes.
we found multiple mistakes throughout the weeks
Yeah.
now on the show. Earlier in the week, his medical team shared that he underwent a CT scan to examine the extent of the pneumonia in his two lungs. But even as an inpatient, Francis continued to carry out some of his work. Francis, 88, has remained absent from several regular appearances at the Vatican. And officials Wednesday said he would not be participating in Ash Wednesday celebrations next week. The church has encouraged worshippers across Rome and around the world to pray for his health, including at nightly vigils held close to St. Peter's, a custom the Catholic Church has long practiced during previous papal illnesses. Francis first admitted to the hospital February 14th following a case of bronchitis, and that was initially in stable condition until suffering a polymicrobial infection that forced him to remain in further treatment. After that, shortly, the Vatican announced Francis had developed pneumonia in both of his lungs and consequently required further inpatient treatment. Pneumonia is no joke. I had my grandmother died of pneumonia suddenly. And they couldn't really revive her. So this is no joke. Last Saturday, alongside what the Vatican called his asthma-like respiratory crisis, the Pope is also being diagnosed with thrombo something and blah, blah, whatever, a condition characterized by low count of the platelets in the blood to help form clots.
I hate
So
all these hospital words, all these
I
long
know
words.
it's like thrombocytopenia, whatever. I'm sorry I butchered that. It's a condition that characterized by low count of the platelets in blood that help form clots. So in other words, he has an issue forming clots, and his blood is really thin. He is given blood transfusions to help bring up his hemoglobin levels. The Vatican said later in a Monday morning statement. So yeah, so Pope Francis is close to death, unfortunately, and if you're a Catholic, especially, I'm sure you're praying for his recovery. If not, I mean, you know, I don't really. It doesn't matter between one way or another. But yeah, I mean, if Francis dies, it's gonna be a new vote for the next pope. So I don't know much about that. I don't know who's in line to be the next pope, so I can't really comment on that. But so I don't even know who would be in line to be the next pope. So I can't even comment on that. So yeah, I mean, hope he lives, but he's 88. I wouldn't be surprised if would be the end of the Pope. But he's been by far the most progressive Pope, in history. I mean, he's even come out pro gay marriage. He's come out against he I'm not sure if he came out in favor of abortions. That's probably something he did not do, but he definitely came out in favor of gay marriage. Was like, what the fuck? I mean, and then he also said if there were aliens, they were also brothers in Christ. So that was really like that's really weird because as if you know the Bible, basically we humans are a special race and we're God's chosen people, etc., etc., etc. So for him to even acknowledge the possibility of aliens, it's heresy within the Catholic Church. So if the next pope will not be as progressive as Francis was, there's zero chance of that. So let's see. Yeah, that's. Hey Earl, thank you for joining us. Sean says pneumonia removed 2.1 million people worldwide in 2021. Pneumonia is no joke. Yeah, I mean, and a lot of that probably had to do with COVID as well. So, because COVID was a respiratory illness. So, yeah, but yeah, it's definitely no joke. So, I also, before we get to the Russia Ukraine thing, I want to bring up, where is it? No, not that. No, we'll get to that right after this, but where is that fucking thing? Oh, here it is. All right, so as everybody knows, next week there's an intention by the administration to basically I'm about to say Egypt, Israel to annex the West Bank. So I figure so let's go here. Let's see. No.
Hmm.
This is what's called from Forward Magazine. They're Jewish, independent, and nonprofit.
Click the X on that as well.
Support our work. Wish I could. I don't really know enough about it to support your work. So there you go. It's no. The West Bank can't be to Israel what Puerto Rico is to the U.S. The far right's new favorite proposal has some glaring flaws, starting with the question of citizenship. So this is written by Dan Perry. Looks like it says it was written on Wednesday. If President Trump keeps his promise, he'll announce next week whether he plans to bring an end to the United States' longstanding opposition to Israel's potential unilateral annexation of the West Bank. What he says could electrify and complicate Israeli politics, risking a new conflagration with the Palestinians and reshape the political map in the Middle East. But one of the central examples that Israel far right and their American allies has seized on is arguing for annexation just shows how flawed the idea annexation is. Even the United States has Puerto Rico, which the people have some representation. They certainly have civil rights, but are not considered equal citizens. Macaulay Fleischer, a blogger and settler, asserted during a debate which I was a participant this week on ILTV, so it must be some kind of Israeli station. Actually, Puerto Rico does not have any representation in Washington. They have what's called a representative at large. They have no power. It's just a ceremonial role. They have civil rights. I mean, not really. Citizenship was forced on Puerto Ricans, and we pretty much fought in every major war since World War One. So not really either. It's not really true either. And yeah, we're not equal citizens because the island has no power. They can't vote for president. They can't do anything. So none of this is true, really. But yeah, this is somebody who wants to. They want to annex the West Bank for Israel, and they're using the U.S. and Puerto Rico as an example, which shows how little respect the Israeli Zionists have for Palestinians in the West Bank. I lived in Puerto Rico for 3 years on assignment with the Associated Press. That comparisons of which Trump's former ambassador to Israel, David Friedman, has become a high profile proponent doesn't add up. Let's see. First and foremost, Puerto Ricans are American citizens. Full stop. Every person born in the island is automatically a U.S. citizen. They are not able to vote in presidential elections while residing on the island, and they're not represented by voting members in Congress, which has also led to allegations of unequal treatment. But their citizenship is not conditional. There's no concurrent Puerto Rican citizenship. Yeah, there isn't. And the reason why they were became citizens is not because the United States cared about Puerto Ricans. They wanted extra bodies for war, in particular World War One, when Puerto Ricans were handed U.S. citizenship, in order to draft them into the military, in order to force them to fight for the U.S. imperial ambitions in Europe and around the world. So let's see. Yeah, proponents of the Israeli right argued that Israel can annex the West Bank while denying Palestinians the political rights that come with citizenship in a democracy. If Israel were to truly follow the Puerto Rico model, every Palestinian living in annexed territories would become an Israeli citizen, with all the rights and responsibilities that entails. The Israeli government and Zionists have zero interest in that. They have absolutely no interest in making Palestinians in the West Bank Israeli citizens. In fact, I think it was Israel. I may have read this once where they denied citizenship to Africans, to black African Jews. I think this was Israel. It was a few years ago. I'm like, really? Are you that openly racist that is like they're Israeli, they're Jewish, but they happen to be black and from Africa? Like, no, I'm sorry, you are not allowed to come to Israel, even though, you are Jewish. Which, if you're Jewish, you have the right to live in Israel.
Or
That's
as
far.
George Santos would say, Jew-ish.
Yeah, it's like the whole point of Israel is a home for the Jewish people. If you're Jewish and around the world and you're under threat somehow, you're automatically become citizen of Israel. Nope, not if you're black. Apparently, I remember reading that somewhere. Unless that was made up. I mean, I'm imagining that, but hopefully I'm not. Yes, because even with the disenfranchisement experienced by Puerto Rican voters on their home island, Puerto Ricans have every right to move to any of the 50 U.S. states, establish residency, and vote like every other American citizen. At least that's true. At least this part's true because we can move to the U.S. My parents moved to the U.S. in 1984, and I remember the year because they moved to the U.S. right before the '84 election, and they couldn't vote in the '84 election. So, and it didn't matter anyways because Reagan absolutely crushed Walter Mondale, so their vote wouldn't have made much of a difference. Even though my father most likely would have voted for Reagan, but my mother was a Democrat, so. mm. I was born in '86, a couple of years after that. But I digress. By doing so, they immediately gained full representation, including the right to vote for president and to elect senators and voting members of the House of Representatives. This is exactly why, in practice, millions of Puerto Ricans have moved to the 40 states. It's 50 states. I think this is a typo.
Oh, oh wow.
Yeah, it's no. This is why Puerto Ricans have moved to all 50 states. There's Puerto Ricans in all 50 states. Some more than others, but depending on where it is in the country. But yeah, I should say 50 states where they are fully enfranchised. And if a U.S. citizen from the mainland moves to Puerto Rico and does not maintain residency in another state, they correspondingly lose the right to vote in federal elections. Which is why I don't really care if I ever move to Puerto Rico. I don't care about voting in the federal elections, anyways. But Puerto Rico, there's not much going on there, so I would have no interest in moving there right now. There's no jobs. There's no food is overly expensive. Actually, food is overly expensive here too, but in Puerto Rico is even worse. So I experienced this firsthand during the 2000 presidential election. As a mainlander living in Puerto Rico, I did not vote. This rule applies equally to all U.S. citizens, regardless of their origins. So you move to Puerto Rico, even if you're a white person, even if you're not Puerto Rican, you lose the right to vote, unless you happen to maintain a house in one of the 50 states. The same situation applies to other U.S. territories like the U.S. Virgin Islands, Guam, and American Samoa, affecting about 1% of American citizens at any given time. any of them can move to the mainland or Hawaii and immediately gain full voting rights. So disenfranchisement is geographical, not ethnic or racial. Yep. So that's why there's this whole debate about Puerto Rico becoming a state, and I'm like, there's no good answers. And I told this to Willie Bragg and went on his show recently to talk about this. There's no good answers. There's a lot of Puerto Ricans that want independence. Yeah, that's not going to work because what's Puerto Rico going to do? So they have option either they're going to take out a loan from the IMF, the World Bank, or the U.S. going to give them a bunch of money, which they're not going to do because they just got independence. So they're still going to owe Wall Street what's $70 billion, some insane number they owe the vulture capitalists in Wall Street. They're still going to owe that money. So independence is not really a realistic option, even though a lot of there's a lot of organizations popping up, fighting for independence of Puerto Rico. Staying as a commonwealth, that's not an option either because it's not working. Becoming a state, again, there's a lot of some of these in the Puerto Ricans who want independence see it as a major problem, especially since recently, today, in fact, Donald Trump signed an executive order making English the official language of the United States. For
Yeah,
the
I
first
saw.
time ever, we have official language. So there you go. That's why they use that as evidence. So you see, the Americans never respect us, so we should go for independence. Again, be the financial reasons. That's not realistic, but that's my opinion. And I'm trying to reach out to the organization that tweeted this out and see whether they can get one of their representatives on the show, and I can have a discussion with them because I don't think independence is going to work in the long term. But I digress. The truth poses a profound problem for Israelis who advocate for the Puerto Rico model, because in Israel, that gave Palestinians in the West Bank the ability to move to vote if they moved to Israel would be an entity entirely equally divided between Jews and Arabs. Equally, if Gaza residents are given the same treatment, that's a scenario in which the Jewish state starts to look like a whole lot less Jewish, effectively the opposite outcome from the far right wants. Yeah, I mean, which is why they're not going to do the Puerto Rico model, because if they do that, that means a lot of Arabs who are moved to Israel in order to vote that are citizens of the West Bank, and the Jewish state will become a lot less Jewish, which means most likely the right wing in Israel are going to lose. So Netanyahu will most likely lose. So that's not going to happen. And in fact, no Israeli politician is suggesting that Palestinians in Jenin should gain Israeli citizen. Oh, sorry, Palestinians in Jenin. I said politicians. Like, ugh. Can't read right now. Sorry about that. Should gain Israeli citizenship and should be able to move to Tel Aviv to vote in Israeli elections. Instead, they envision the West Bank being annexed into Israel without the Palestinian populace, gaining the ability to vote in Israeli national elections. This would effectively create a two-tier system of governance that is fundamentally undemocratic. All that's true, and the right wing in Israel, the Zionists, do not give a shit. They have zero respect for the Palestinians. They don't see them as people. They see them as animals that they have to kill. So that's absolutely true, but they don't care. They're not bothered about that. In fact, they love the idea. It's like, yeah, hopefully they'll either move or we'll kill them or we'll take their property or whatever. Some proponents of annexation suggest that the Palestinians could be given autonomous self rule or local voting rights, much like a municipal council or a city. But this is not equivalent to the U.S. territories model, which residents are American citizens and have the option to fully participate in the political system. Instead, this would codify a form of permanent political subjugation, which would create a system for one group of people to have full political rights, while another group living under the same sovereignty does not, which is what Israel going to do. They're going to do most likely a South African model where certain citizens have all the rights, but most citizens don't. So apartheid. That's what I'm looking for. mm. It's improbable that Israel will annex the entire West Bank, which is known to many Israelis as Judea and Samaria, and contains 500,000 settlers and nearly 3 million Palestinians. Just because Trump allows it, there would be too much local opposition, and likelier outcome would be the annexation of certain areas where settlers live close to the border. This is no long term solution either. Israel faces difficult choices about its borders, its identity, and its relationship with the Palestinians. If Israel wants to annex the West Bank or any part of it, it must be fully prepared to grant full citizenship and voting rights to the people who live there, something like the true Puerto Rico model. So let's see. Dan Perry, the former chief editor of Associated Press in Europe, Africa, and Middle East, the former chairman of the Foreign Press Association in Jerusalem. Okay, the article already ended, and I'm reading nonsense basically. Yeah. So doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because ultimately Israel is going to annex either most of the West Bank or little pieces of it. Even they'll take that property. And eventually, if especially Trump says, "Oh yeah, you're allowed to annex the West Bank if you want," what's going to happen is the same thing that happened in Gaza. They'll slowly but surely take pieces of the land and force them to leave, take their properties, do what Israel did in Gaza, basically, and take most of the West Bank within. By the time Trump leave office in 2029, they'll have most of the West Bank. So I want to thank Sean for a donation. Really appreciate that. I mean, thank you for the help. Um, the links are in the description box below. There's a Kofi bot as well, putting out my information. So thank you very much, Sean, for the donation. I appreciate it. I'm really grateful for it. Make sure you like and subscribe as well. That also helps. You're not able to donate financially, and if you can't, make sure you like and subscribe, hang out in the chat, and I appreciate that as well. So, like I was saying, the Puerto Rico model would be the best scenario for West Bank, but that's not good either because because you're basically subjugated by Israel the way Puerto Rico has kind of been subjugated by the U.S. But that's better. At least they have voting rights if they move to Israel. But that's not going to happen because Israel doesn't want Arab brown people in their state. It's obvious that they want them to be not even citizens, just unequal partners in basically apartheid South Africa. So they have no rights, they have nothing. It's just basically we own your land now, piss off. So those are my so I wonder if there's any Jewish people in the chat or here, would you, if you have, you remember, Jewish people have the right to return, a right of return. I mean, if you want to move to Israel, would you? Because that'd be interesting to see how many you actually would.
I definitely wouldn't.
Oh, so yeah, you're Jewish. I forgot. I don't know why I didn't ask you that. I know Indy wouldn't because Indy's Jewish too. So
I didn't. I didn't know. I didn't know he was Jewish.
yeah, yeah. So he's from Jewish descent, but I know he wouldn't either. But yeah, so I don't think if I were Jewish, I definitely wouldn't. But all right, so now let's get to because Indy's talked about his Jewish heritage. He did an interview recently. He had a long conversation about it. So yeah, he's Jewish too. I know he definitely wouldn't move back to Israel if he or move to
I haven't
Israel.
even been to Israel, so
I think he said he went. I could be wrong. I'm forgetting, but I think he did go once
mhm.
because most Jewish people have to go once at least in their lifetime to be like officially. It's kind of like Arab people having to go to a Mecca in Saudi Arabia once in their life. So I don't know exactly how that works. Again, I'm not Jewish, so I'm kind of confused by that. But
None of my parents have told me that we've had to visit Israel or anything. So no.
okay, so yeah, I guess I'm wrong about that, but I do know Arab people, Muslims have to visit Mecca at least once in their lifetime in Saudi Arabia, so they have to do that pilgrimage. So let's see. Yeah, so now let me mention this real quick. Just bear with me 1 second while I get my bearings because I just saw something. Oh, my shoulder. So yeah, Puerto Rico, as we just discussed, Trump has made English the official language, For the first time ever, the United States has an official language. It's English. It's not Spanish, even though I think about 20% of Americans speak Spanish. So it's like even a majority of Americans speak Spanish. So this is the account that shared the article I just read. So they're a national advocacy organization of Puerto Ricans in the United States working for a free, just, and prosperous future for our homeland. And so the idea that Puerto Rico could become a state and keep its language and cultural identity has always been a fantasy. Statehood means assimilation to a country that increasingly hostile to Spanish and Latinos. Only independence defends and decolonizes Puerto Rico. So there's some meme here. President Trump sends a message to Puerto Ricans: "I want you to speak English." But I don't think that's true. I mean, yeah, I mean, in New Orleans, a lot of people speak French still, and then in Hawaii, and there's a lot of people who speak the native language still. So I don't know how true this is. Uh, so is yes, he's fantasy like New Orleans, where French is spoken, or California, which has more Spanish speakers than Spain. So yeah, it's not. Maybe you can make the argument that you lose your culture, but losing your language is not even really true because most people in Louisiana, like a lot of the population, allegedly they speak French. So, and a lot of California, there's more Spanish speakers than in Spain. So it's like I don't know how true that is. I know this organization kind of advocates for independence, so they're not going to fully get into like that stuff. Trump to sign executive order making English the official U.S. language. So President Donald Trump plans to sign executive order, which he already did, making English the official language of the United States. Three White House officials told CNBC Trump's order will rescind former President Bill Clinton's directive for federal funding recipients to offer services for those with limited English proficiency. So this is a problem because when there's a lot of federal funding that goes to organizations that help, for example, like Latinos when they first come to the U.S. because they don't know English. So they offer translators and they offer help like that, and those organizations will have a lot of their funding pulled now. So yeah, again, it's just not good. So this is also, oops, this is who is this? The official X page of J.A. Hernandez, writer, now analyst, and author of Free Exit, Forging Puerto Rico's Path to Sovereignty. So he's pro independence as well. Another nail in the coffin of Puerto Rico's statehood. There's no place in Puerto Rico, a proud Spanish speaking Latin American nation inside the USA. Time to free and cut Puerto Rico loose so it can be a sovereign nation in charge of its own destiny, language, and culture. What these people that advocate for independence haven't really explained is how you gonna where you're gonna get your funding from, what's gonna be the currency. Are we still use the U.S. currency? We're not going to use the U.S. currency. Are you gonna print your own currency? And if you do, how that's gonna work? Or how are you gonna take out loans? Because there's no way Puerto Rico can survive without the U.S. unless they take loans from like the IMF or the World Bank or even the U.S. even, or unless you want to try to get support from China or Russia. Good luck with that because the U.S. will just take you over again. He's not going to allow Chinese or Russian influence on the American, not American, North American continent, our part of the country, our part of the world, basically. I'm not able to spit out what I'm trying to say, but yeah. So like I don't see a realistic way to make Puerto Rico independent unless they can explain this in a way I can at least understand it. And like, because I'm not against independence, I'm just like, how is that going to work? Where you can get your funding from? How are you going to have diplomatic relations with the U.S.? All of this is very important too. You can't just say, "Oh yeah, we want independence," and really don't have much of a plan. So again, I'm open minded to hearing a plan. I'm not against it by definition, but yeah, there's really whoops. Let me do that. excuse me, there's really no chance to for me to see a way how Puerto Rico doesn't become independent right now. But I digress. I mean, so as every there we've had the U.S. and Ukraine. Um, Zelensky came to Washington today, basically hat in hand, looking for money. That's what he did. Like he came here to the U.S. in order to come here and basically like, oh, please give me more money so I can fight the Russians for you. So, um, oops, here we go. Before we get to that, so we have because we're gonna be talking about Russia, Ukraine, Baltic states, all that stuff. I came across this something very interesting. Sean French Creole. They all speak French Creole. Okay, thank you for that. Let's see, Romania. I'm sure people have heard about this a little bit, but Romania had elections recently, and their president uh, Georgescu, he won. He won the elections, and Romania, just because they put out fake, very dubious allegations of Russian interference, they canceled the elections. Not only did they cancel the election, but they just arrested Georgescu, even though he's leading in the polls. Again, there's a big irony here. So let me read this, and then There's gonna be an irony here. Romania just sent a message to Moscow. Your puppets won't rule here. Yes, right. You damn right.
Hey,
You
shut the fuck up. Get out of here.
pro-Russian presidential candidate Kalin Georgescu, leading in the polls. Remember that word, leading in the polls, was arrested minutes before registering for a rerun of Romania's presidential elections. A search of his home uncovered a hidden safe with 900,000 euros in cash. Because, of course, Kremlin stooges always gets their bribes in hard currency. I'll go back to that in a second. After Russian intelligence was caught rigging the first election, by the way, they have no evidence for that. They just make that claim. Romanian authorities canceled the results. Again, they canceled the election, even though the popular president won. But they allege Russian intelligence interference. So it's like, oh yeah, we're going to cancel these elections. Holding a new vote on May 4th without Georgescu on the ballot. This Kremlin mouthpiece spent years spreading anti-Ukrainian, anti-European propaganda straight from Moscow's playbook. He thought he could sell out Romania to Putin, but something went wrong. Democracy hit back. Romania will not be another Russian satellite. Romania will not bow to the Kremlin, and Russia just lost again.
This just
And
makes me want to move to Russia.
yeah, there's an irony here because they claim Georgescu is a puppet of Moscow, and he's anti-democratic. But as they admit here, right here, hold on, leading in the polls. What does that tell you?
Yeah.
He's that's most people want him to be their president, and what's the logical conclusion from that? Most people in Romania want to be friendly with Russia. That's the that's the logic of that. Instead, it's like they somehow then say, oh no, most people don't want that. They want to be friends with the U.S. and the West, but they're being manipulated by the Russians, by the biggest power in the world, because that's the same claim that Democrats made here in the U.S. during Trump's first term, that they use memes and stuff on Facebook to manipulate Americans. No evidence for this. This is where Russiagate came from. And now they're Russiagating again now with what Trump did to Zelensky. They're Russiagating again. We'll get to that in a moment. But this whole 900,000 euros thing, I smell bullshit, and there's a reason for that. Because the Russians, unless they're somehow used like multiple dummy corporations or something to bribe Georgescu, which most likely somebody planted that money in his house. I mean, they claim they found it in a safe though, but I don't really believe these motherfuckers. But let's say it's not they found 900,000 euros in his house. The Russians they've been shut out of the Western banking system, which includes the U.S. dollar, the EU's euros, the British pound. They can't do transactions in any of these monies. So how did they come up with 900,000 euros? Fuck if I know. So it's again, I smell bullshit with that too. If he somehow had 900,000 euros in his house, I don't think it came from the Russians. So what's this video? I don't know what this is, but I guess it's when they broke into the Georgescu's house and arrested him.
Non posso la sua macchina, entro io, ma dovremmo la sua. Deve stare arma, dai. Sta.
All right, where's the safe? I want to see the money. You allege that there was 100,000 euros in a safe in his house. Okay, there's more here. Looks like Romania has just reminded the
What did he miss
world.
to
Oh, he did a Hitler thing too.
do?
I'm surprised that wasn't mentioned. Romania just Romania just reminded the world democracy have teeth. Remember, Georgescu was leading in the polls. This town admitted to that earlier. Georgescu, the pro-Russian puppet, got himself arrested, and in true clown fashion, he threw up a Roman salute on his way out. A fitting end for a Kremlin lapdog who thought he could sell his country out without consequences. Ah, you really can't stand these pricks.
Yeah.
I mean, again,
Full imaginile, mulțumesc frumos.
okay, so again, the irony is he was leading in the polls, and they even admit to this. And somehow that means in order to become a democracy, they had to arrest and cancel elections that the people chose to be president because that'll somehow save democracy, even though this man is leaving in the polls. Again, none of this makes any sense. None of this makes any sense. It just drives me crazy. It's like, am I losing my fucking mind? I mean, because it's not just with Romania; it's also with Zelensky and Ukraine. Every single goddamn politician here in the U.S. after the Trump meeting with Zelensky was kissing Zelensky's ass. Every single one, doesn't matter whether Democrat or Republican, nearly every single one sent out a post on X talking about, oh, we stand with Ukraine. We stand with you. Oh, we hate Trump. We hate Trump and Vance. We hate them. We love you, Zelensky. We'll give you whatever you want. It's like, yeah, now Trump doesn't sign for it. It's not going to happen. A lot of like politicians in the EU as well. They've all come out and basically kissed his ass. Like, oh, we'll give you whatever you want, Zelensky. Please just keep fighting the Russians for us, so we don't have to fight them. Even though the Russians have no interest in taking all of Europe, but that's what they think because they're moronic and they've fallen for U.S. propaganda. Because the Biden administration started this war because they thought they can make Russia go broke. So they pushed and pushed and pushed Putin into starting this war. Not only Biden, forget Biden, it was the U.S. This has been a plan like ever since Putin came into power. This is kind of a plan to push NATO eastward, which is something that I'm sorry, I forgot it when I said this is something that the U.S. and promised Gorbachev before the fall of the Soviet Union. Like, oh yeah, don't worry, we'll never push east. We'll never go further east into the Baltic states. And it turns out that he did, that the U.S. did. So where is it? I've saved so much stuff. Oh, here we go. I'll just go over this real quick. There's a thread. This is a great thread here. Russia's invasion of Ukraine was provoked by NATO expansion and the U.S.-backed 2014 coup, according to 3 decades of leading U.S. military and foreign policy experts. So these are all them. Ambassador George Keenan, Ambassador Jack Matlock, Senator Joe Biden, Senator Bill Bradley, Senator Sam Nunn, Senator Gary Hart, Senator Gordon Humphrey, Secretary of State Henry Kissinger, even Robert McNamara, William Perry, Robert Gates, CIA Director William Burns, CIA Director Stansfield Turner, Professor Edward Norman, Noam Chomsky, Paul Keating, Malcolm Fraser. Blah, blah, blah. So this is all big thread here, which In 1997, open letter, NATO expansion, a policy era, historic proportions. June 1997, 50 U.S. foreign policy experts, including former Defense Secretary Robert McNamara and XCI Director Stansfield Turner, sent President Clinton an open letter labeling NATO eastward expansion a policy of error historic proportions. They predicted it would provoke Russia, fuel nationalism, and undermine nuclear disarmament like START II, urging cooperation over confrontation. What happened? Exactly what they predicted. It would provoke Russia, it would fuel nationalism in Russia, and undermine nuclear disarmament. Because what happens today? Both states, Russia and the US, have further developed nuclear weapons. They have more weapons than they ever did before. So that's exactly what they predicted what would happen. Uh, Number two. Oh, we know this, man. Senator Joe Biden predicts hostile Russian reaction, 1997. That same month, Senator Joe Biden warned NATO expansion to the Baltic states would provoke a vigorous and hostile reaction from Russia. All three Baltic states, Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania, became NATO members in 2004. So let's hear from this strapping gentleman named Joe Biden. I wonder where we know this guy from.
I think the one place where the greatest consternation would be caused in the short term for admission, having nothing to do with the merit and preparedness of the country to come in, would be to admit the Baltic states now in terms of NATO-Russian, U.S.-Russian relations. And if there was ever anything that was going to tip the balance, were it to be tipped in terms of a vigorous and hostile reaction, I don't mean military, in Russia, it would be that. So the way I look at the calculus here,
all right. So that's a competent looking Joe Biden there. He again predicted what would happen, but it didn't matter because all three of those Baltic states joined NATO in 2004. Even though, by the way, we promised Russia that we would never go further east, but of course we break promises all the time here in the United States. Australian PM Keating, great mistake, echoes historical errors. In September 1997, Prime Minister Paul Keating of Australia called NATO expansion a great mistake, comparing it to missteps that sparked both world wars. He argued that moving NATO to Russia border signaled that Russia remained a potential enemy, jeopardizing continental stability. The decision to expand NATO by inviting Poland, Hungary, and the Czech Republic to participate and hold out the prospect to others, in other words, to move Egypt military democratization to point to the very borders of the former Soviet Union, is, I believe, an error that we rank and the end with the strategic miscalculations that, excuse me, prevented Germany from taking its full place in the international system at the beginning of the century. So what he's talking about there is what happened after World War One, where Germany could never really take its place back in the international system because they owed so much money to reparations to the Allied powers who won the war. So that's what directly led to the rise of fascism and Hitler and the Nazis. So that's what he's comparing what he thinks going to happen in Russia, which really didn't happen, but yeah, I understand his point there. The great question for Europe is no longer how to embed Germany in Europe. That's been achieved, but how to involve Russia in a way that secures the continent during the next century. And there's a very obvious absence of statecraft here. The Russians, under Mikhail Gorbachev, conceded that East Germany could remain in NATO as part of a united Germany. So yeah, they agreed that East Germany could join NATO and become Germany again because that's it. That's all they agreed to. They didn't agree to anything else. But now, just half a dozen years later, NATO has climbed up to the western border of Ukraine. This message can be read only in one way, that even though Russia has become a democracy, the consensus of Western Europe remains that it's a state that needs to be watched as the potential enemy. So by 1997, Russia was a democracy at that point, even though they only elected one president, which was, am I forgetting his name? The drunk guy. The guy's constantly drunk. I can't remember his name right now.
I think I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, damn, I'm on first. Let me bear with me 1 second. Boris Yeltsin, right. He's Yeltsin. he's constantly drunk. I mean that man. So this is a whole long thread. I don't really got going to go through this whole thing today, but It's a brilliant thread.
Steph's
Like
finally joined.
yeah, it's
Oh, but
so
yeah,
much.
I just saw. I just noticed. So she was here earlier. So yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, this is such a long. It's really well done too. I mean, it explains. I mean, I could probably read through more of this next week, but or I'll just put the here. I put it in the chat because it's a really long, like, well done thread though. So if you guys want to go look through it, you'll learn a lot from everything that U.S. and NATO did. Uh, Senators Hartz and Humphrey expansion poisons relations. So it goes through the history in the 90s. Uh, by 2001, Putin would be president. Uh, he opposed NATO expansion, warning it provoked Russia increased nuclear war. I mean, yeah. Again, this is not wrong. None of this is. Here we go. Oh, this is interesting. Number 9, USAID. Remember, we know what USAID is. Funds Ukraine media. This is 2001. I'm going to read this because I found this interesting. 2001, USAID backed interviewers trained 1,900 journalists and supported 126 radio stations in Ukraine, reaching tens of millions. This effort was to bolster pro-Western institutions, setting the stage for EU expansion and NATO enlargement, which is exactly what they did, or what they attempted to do. So they have 203 TV stations, 126 radio stations, 50 million TV audience, 18 million radio audience, and 1,900 trainees. So basically, not journalists, but propagandists, in order to expand the Western narrative and try to get Ukraine to join the EU and NATO, which is what the Russians didn't want. Uh, Interviewers fuels color revolution by 2006. So again, this is important because Putin would invade Georgia. I forget in what year. It's right after this, I think. It was 2010-ish. And by 2006, Internews. I keep saying interviewers, like Internews. This is a news organization.
Yeah.
Boasted the funding media that drove 2003 Georgia's 2003 Rose Revolution and Ukraine's 2004 Orange Revolution, aligning both nations with the West and amplifying U.S. influence, which is what would lead to Georgia trying to join NATO and the EU like 10 years later. And that's what led to Putin's invasion of Georgia, which, by the way, Russia's occupying like certain territory in Georgia to this day. So, in order to stop Georgia from trying to join the EU and NATO. So, yeah, I mean, this is a whole long thread. It keeps going. So, I don't want to, I want to get to the other stuff, that happened today. But this is a real education here, about the U.S. and what the U.S. did to NATO instead, and the eastward expansion. So, hey, Steph, you're here. I mean, I was wondering where you were at because it's 8 o'clock, and it's like, oh, I hope you're okay. Let's see. So, let me see anything else that's relevant for me to read. Uh, Again, this is very relevant. This is very important here. Arms manufacturers pushed NATO expansion 1997 1998. Between 1997 and 1998, six major U.S. defense firms, we know these guys, Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman, Textron Inc., Raytheon, Boeing, and the former McDonnell Douglas, spent $51 million lobbying for NATO expansion. Why? Because they can make more profit. Imagine having like all these states join NATO and force them to spend on their military. Who gets most of that money? The major six U.S. defense contractors. They get the money. New members had to upgrade NATO compatible system, promising massive profits. It's always about the money. Like Tom Cruise in that movie. Why am I forgetting that movie name? He says, "Show me the money. Show me the money." What movie is that?
Or when Vince McMahon says it's all about the money.
Yeah, yeah. So I was thinking back in the 90s, but yeah, he said something similar too. I mean, it's always about the money. Senator Daniel Patrick Moynihan of New York, an opponent of NATO expansion, remarked, like any other American manufacturer, they're looking for markets abroad. Most every other customer they can think of have forbidden them to sell anything. The companies that win those contracts will provide that interoperability to the aging Soviet systems made in Eastern Europe would benefit enormously from NATO eastward expansion. The Congressional Budget Office says the cost of the few nations joining NATO may reach $125 billion over the next 15 years, with the United States paying up to $19 billion. Critics of NATO expansion said the weapon spending would create political and economic problems in Central Europe, which would come to pass. But it doesn't matter to the defense contractors because they get to pocket $125 billion over the 15 years, which is what they did. I mean, I'm not sure that's the exact numbers, but that was estimated by the Congressional Budget Office at the time. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I love this thread. I was reading through it earlier today for the show, and I'm like, this is so perfect. Like it's video. There's documentation. U.S. allies. Former NATO provoked crisis in 2014. 100% true. Again, Senator Chris Murphy, and we know this guy. He admits here in 20 and I said I wouldn't read more of this, but this is such a great thread. In February 2014, Senator Chris Murphy, who stood next to Senator John McCain in Maidan Square rallying anti-government protesters, admitted that the U.S. played a significant role in the 2014 ousting of Ukrainian President Yanukovych through sanctions and threats. Ask that to Senator Murphy today. He'll completely say, "Oh, I don't know what you're talking about. We had nothing to do with it. The U.S. had nothing to do with it." Like, bullshit. I mean, trust he even admitted to us back in 2014.
Like, don't speak English.
Yeah, it's like if you confront him with that clip, like, oh well, I mean, I was mistaken. Please don't show me anymore. Please don't show that clip again. He argued that the continued U.S. support, including the presidents of Senate and State Department members in Ukraine, had helped facilitate this regime change. So he's just admitting that the U.S. did the forced Yanukovych out. He saw the coup as a chance to cement U.S. influence and economic ties, thus including benefits for Connecticut. If Ukraine had joined the EU and participated in a new U.S.-Europe trade agreement, they would have generated billions in opportunities. I think it was our role, including sanctions and threats of sanctions, that forced in part Yanukovych from office. Now the question is, what can we do to support this new government? With respect to Ukraine, we have not sat on the sidelines. We have been very much involved. Members of the Senate had been there. Members of the State Department had been on the square. The Obama administration passed sanctions. The Senate was prepared to pass its own set of sanctions. As I said, I think that we're in a clear position the United States has, in part, to help lead to this change in regime. Oops. Just admitting it right on C-SPAN that, oh yeah, by the way, I mean, we were responsible for this, for Yanukovych being forced out of office, and we're responsible for everything that happens there. Now we can make billions of dollars in profit. Oh, it turns out that there's a giant war now, and and that money didn't come. Doesn't matter. So, yeah, this keeps going. I mean,
yeah. So let's move on to.
It's fantastic, though. Yeah, I mean, I already shared the link down in the chat if you guys are interested in reading it in your own time. Because let me see. So if you haven't already, please give me that like and subscribe. Helps a lot with the channel, as well as hang out in the chat. I love that the chat is so active tonight. Appreciate that. I also let's see. So we got to talk about this whole Zelensky Trump visit to the U.S. today, Washington in particular. So as everybody knows, Zelensky. He also did an appearance on Fox News right after,
Yeah,
where he basically said, "Well, I think it was Brett Baer was asking him, oh well,
yeah.
I mean, did you came here to ask for money, right?" And Zelensky was like, "Well, I mean, not exactly. I mean, yeah,
How I was there?
Yeah, we clearly need the money, but I really didn't come here asking for money, though," or some kind of ridiculous answer he gave. Like he's denying that he.
When I first heard his voice when he was at when he was in Washington giving that speech, I was like, "Oh my fucking god!"
Yeah, he sounds like a comedian. He's like he's a clown. Who takes him seriously? I know he was a professional comedian before becoming president, but he sounds like a comedian. So this is part of it, I mean, it's not really well quality.
First play the the meeting.
Right. I mean, they have we have Donald Trump and Vladimir Voldemort Zelensky. Like I call him Voldemort a few times because his
And
first name.
JD Vance was there too.
All right. Let me look for that. I have multiple clips, but there's one that's like 5 minutes. Unless I didn't save it. Probably didn't. But let's see. There's a bigger, longer one. No, it's here. No, let me just play this one. Because this is, the one that's. I love how Trump is sitting there like he's like this. Like he's not really. Him and JD Vance are fighting here. So, all right. So let's see. Let's do that. Start from the beginning. Huh?
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes, but if you are
Mr.
not
President,
strong...
Mr. President, with respect,
Well,
I
yes,
think it's
but you know...
disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media. Right now, you guys are going around and forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems. You should be
Again, J.D. Vance is not wrong. That's what he's doing. That's what Zelensky's doing.
thanking the president for trying to bring an end to this conflict.
Have you ever been to Ukraine that you say what problems...
I have been to...
Come once.
I've actually watched and seen...
He's like a petulant child. He's like this. Like, have you ever come to Ukraine? Come once. Come once. Come on.
Stories, and I know what happens is you bring them on a propaganda tour, Mr. President. Do you disagree that you've had problems bringing people into your military?
We have problems.
And do you think that it's respectful
answer.
to come to the Oval Office of the United
answer.
States of America and attack the administration that is trying to prevent the destruction of your country?
A lot of questions. Let's start from the beginning. First of all, during the war, everybody has problems. Even you, but you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future. God bless.
Bullshit.
God bless. God bless you.
Bullshit. That's totally made up. Like he's implying that the Russians would invade the U.S. Like, oh yeah, you'll feel it one day. Trust me. Yeah, you'll feel it one day. Total bullshit. So let me replay that.
But you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future.
Yeah, total bullshit. The Russians never going to invade the U.S. because our country is like this continent is very difficult to invade. What are you going to do? Ground invasion in the U.S.? Yeah, good luck with that. Total bullshit.
Bless.
You don't know that.
God bless.
Yeah,
God bless.
You don't know that.
You gotta, don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because
I'm
you're in no
answering on
position
this
to
question.
dictate that.
That's
Remember
exactly
this.
Again, Trump isn't wrong. He's in no position to dictate anything. Because he's
Joe
lost
Biden
his
never
war.
did this to him.
Oh no! That's why liberals have a nuclear meltdown on X over this. He's not wrong. They're not disputing anything that he said. They're just angry because
We also got to show later on Bernie's response to all of this.
Oh yeah, I mean, I can. I
think
didn't.
saw my retweet with the clip. If you.
Yeah, we can get to that for sure, but
You're in no position to dictate what we're going to feel. We're going to feel very
you will
good.
Feel influence.
We're going to feel very good and very strong.
You will feel influence.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed yourself to be in a very bad position, and he happens to be right about it.
You've allowed yourself to be in a very bad position. I mean, I've talked about this before, but Zelensky's allowed himself to be a puppet of the U.S., and he's allowed his people to be killed in order to basically, because him and Biden had this idea where, okay, we'll make Russia broke. We'll force them to become broke by, having to continually attack Ukraine. And Zelensky kind of agreed with it. And, that's why, he kept getting all this money. Now that Trump's in charge, he's calling this out. He's like, well, come on, man. I mean, this is the agreement we had or whatever. It's like, no, it's not going to happen now.
In the very beginning of the war,
You're not in a good position. You don't have the cards right now.
He doesn't.
With us, you start having cards. But right now, you don't. Yeah, you're playing cards. You're playing.
He's not understanding what that means. It's like you're not playing. You don't have the cards. It's a reference to It's a reference we have. You don't have good cards right now. It doesn't mean you're literally playing cards. I mean, you can tell English is not his first language.
You're gambling with the lives of millions of people. You're gambling with World War III. You're gambling with World War III. And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country. It's
with
back
all
to you.
respect to your
Far
country.
more than a lot of people said
wearing
they
respect.
should have.
Have you said thank you once?
A lot of times.
Bullshit.
The entire meeting,
today.
you said thank
Even
you.
today.
You went to Pennsylvania and campaigned for the opposition in October. Offer some words of appreciation for the United States of
you're
America
speaking about.
and the president who's trying to save your country.
Well, there you go. That was like the
I'll send you Jimmy Dores in, mocking Zelensky. I think you've seen it, but I'll still share it to you.
Okay. He said, I've noticed that Zelensky just sounds like, what the hell is he talking about? I couldn't really, they were eventually kind of yelled at each other towards the end. Liberals had a nuclear meltdown over this. Like, I've never seen him so angry. Right? Biden was trying to pull a Reagan. Reagan did the same thing. They outspent the Russians. Yeah, I mean that's exactly what happened in Afghanistan in the 80s. They were trying to we had the money, we sent the money to the Mujahideen, which we all know the Mujahideen would eventually split and become the Taliban, and an organization called Al Qaeda, which I'm sure everybody's heard of. Let's see. He made yeah. So let's see. Whoops. Sorry about that. Liberals are mad because it's Trump doing it. Biden had done this moment. The Dems would be kissing his ass. The reps would be the one losing their shit. Republicans. Yeah, 100%. I'm not claiming that Trump is like holy for this, but he's not wrong though. All right, that's the real reason this is going on. He tried to campaign against Trump. Is this just to humiliate Zelensky? They kind of admitted to it there. That's a good point.
Before, like Lindsey Graham and Crenshaw, is that his name?
Yeah.
The last name Crenshaw.
Dan Crenshaw. Dan
Even
Crenshaw. Yeah.
They are turning on Zelensky votes. So.
Yeah. So they kind of admitted to it there. Kind of. They're like. Yeah, I mean, you try to campaign against us, in October or whatever, because obviously Zelensky wanted Kamala Harris to win because he knew he would keep getting unlimited funds from the United States. So it's like he clearly wanted Kamala Harris to win. We got so much virtue signaling. Oh my God, I could spend the next 2 hours going through all the virtue signaling. I can.
Maybe it's still loading. All those should be completed in like a couple or few minutes. So just.
Okay. Oh, that's fine.
Just show Bernie's response to it.
Yeah. I gotta find it.
That motherfucker! I fucking hate him so much, Bernie Sanders.
So everybody, it's Bernie. It's the entire Democratic party, the establishment. Here we go. This is a tweet. I mean, did he put out a video? Cause I just see a tweet here. Hold on, let me read it. Trump berates Zelensky, the leader of democratic country courageously fighting Russian imperialism, while he allies himself with Putin, a dictator, bullshit, who started the bloodiest.
I sent you the clips, so go check it out when
But he allies himself with Putin, a dictator who started the bloodiest European war in 80 years. Sorry, President Trump. We believe in democracy, not authoritarianism.
Fuck off, Bernie, piece of shit.
So yeah, there is Bernie Sanders. Sabby put out this tweet. Neocon Bernie supports this, which is the Azov Battalion, which they are Nazis, ladies and gentlemen. He supports Nazis, a Jewish man supporting Nazis in Ukraine. Revolutionary blackout. Nick, how many Ukrainians must die to fulfill your sick anti-Russian bloodlust? Many as possible. You think Bernie gives a shit? Absolutely not. Not today's Bernie Sanders. So you sent it to me on Twitter?
Yeah. Well, first, before you do that, play my or show that my response to Bernie in the retweet. I think you've seen it.
Yeah. Hold on. Bernie's such a dipshit. Yeah, Bernie is motherfucker. Let's see. Uh, well, I can't play this because it's a WWE clip, but yeah, I could show it. There, it's Vince McMahon telling Eric Bischoff to shut up, but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's that's I saw that. Yeah, let me do that. So yeah, it's just I cannot believe like the virtue signaling by everybody. Hey, it's so how can I? All right, so I'll show the Jimmy Dore thing real quick because, and then we'll get to more virtue signaling. Oops, let me try sharing my screen before I play this. That'll be nice, Angel. Let's see. All right, so let's.
It is obvious that American business can become the locomotive that will.
First of all I hear is the plane, boss. That's what it sounds like.
Yes.
He sounds like Hervé Villachev.
I thought it was being dubbed.
The locomotive.
Boss, the plane.
It is obvious that American business can become the locomotive that will once again push forward.
Wait, what's he trying to say? Oh, locomotive. Locomotive. Yeah, I'm like, what is he trying to say? Is like, I mean, he butchered that word.
Global economic growth. We have already managed to attract attention and have cooperation with such giants of the international financial and investment world as BlackRock, JP Morgan, and Goldman Sachs, such American brands as...
I
love that admission. He's like, oh yeah, we have all this funding and all this support. Goldman Sachs, BlackRock, every horrible corporation in the U.S. supports us. Give us more money.
He says those words. We've attracted BlackRock, JP Morgan, Golden Sachs. I love Golden Socks. Have you seen the Golden Socks?
I love Golden Socks.
We are looking closely at Abrams. Thousands of such examples are possible. And everyone can become a big business by working with Ukraine. In all sectors.
Everyone can make big business working with Ukraine. It's all about that.
From weapons and defense to construction, from communication.
Everything from weapons and defense to constructing the shit those weapons blow up and then making more weapons to blow up the shit we just fixed.
I think I'm going to move to Ukraine.
It's the cycle of a cut. It's great.
A lot of opportunity right now.
A lot of opportunity.
To agriculture, from transport to IT, from banks to medicine. And I believe that freedom must always win.
I love how he says BlackRock, JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, from everything from this to that to building, construction to weapons. But by the way, freedom. I'm sorry, what? Freedom? That's right. This is about freedom. Right at the end, he slips it in. This is about freedom. Holy shit! I almost forgot. This is about freedom.
Total bullshit. It's not about freedom. It's about, I'm a puppet of the American empire. We all can make money, right? We all can make money, right? Oh shit, I'm supposed to say freedom? Okay, well, it's about freedom too, right? Unbelievable. It's just such a joke. Like, Zelensky is he's such a puppet of the American empire. But he turns around and gets mad. He gets mad as soon as Donald Trump, yells at him a little bit. Because apparently they were supposed to have they were supposed to have a joint press conference and sign that big mineral deal, but the mineral deal never happened because Zelensky left the White House early.
By the way, you can play that Fox News clip now.
Yeah, I mean he left. Whoops, I messed up. Hold on, I think I may have lost it, but whatever. I mean. Slava Ukraini, which what does that mean? Like save Ukraine? What the fuck? I don't know. This is fucking disgraceful. You see, they're all like virtue signaling. I mean, I've seen more Ukrainian flags on X than I've seen in years.
Yeah, and Israel flags.
This is fucking disgraceful. Lecturing a man who's been leading a country through war, a nation torn apart by a brutal dictator. All this is bullshit. Fighting for his homeland with blood. I'm not American, but I'm embarrassed on their behalf. I can go so many of these. It's like total bullshit. Total bullshit. He's not a freedom fighter. He in fact, who's a dictator? Like I've said this before, Zelensky. He canceled elections. He arrested his political opponents. He's done everything, that a dictator would do. But meanwhile, they want to call Putin a dictator.
What? I'm the bad guy, not Putin. What are you talking about?
Yeah. It turns out you're the bad guy, Zelensky. You're not the good guy here. Oh my god.
Oh yeah, I saw a funny AI clip. I don't know if you saw it, but it was I think it was Trump, Zelensky, and Vance getting into a fight or something from earlier.
Oh yeah, I did see that. They get in like a physical fight. I've seen that. Yeah. What? He must have Napoleon syndrome. Yes, that's almost a guarantee. Fred says #Angel denies me hot wings. Get it trending. Come on. I will spread your message through Discord. This hate crime will be punished. Looking forward. Let's see. So this is more of this. I could show like a shit ton of these. This account, born in Ukraine, American, fuck off. This 2-on-1 ambush by a foreign leader by VP Vance and President Trump on U.S. soil will have monumental consequences for America, not for Ukraine. Our reputation, our invaluable treasure built up over centuries, is the bedrock of both our economy and society. So because they yelled a little bit at a foreign leader, that means somehow we'll lose credibility around the world?
Yeah, oh no.
There's no logic behind that. It's more like, oh no, well fuck you. You're the one that's gonna lose, not Ukraine. You already lost the war. You're the only ones that don't know it. It's like, let's see. I can show these all day. What? Why is it just keep popping up? Like there's some kind of like that's weird. There's more of this. If you're American or European and celebrate Trump and Vance attacking Zelensky, understand this. Zelensky's a hero. Bull fucking shit, he's a hero. He's a puppet of the US empire and allowed his people to be killed because of what Biden told him to do and what Boris Johnson told him to do with the UK. The US just embarrassed itself and disrespected Europe on a historical scale. You're supporting your own downfall. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, America will fall. Not because we owe $36 trillion and not because the most Americans are poor and are homeless. No. We will fall because you disrespected Zelensky in Ukraine and Europe. Oh my God. I mean, these people are in a full-blown panic. They're melting down. They are melting down on X. Let's see. Oh, this is... let's see. There's more of this. Where? So let me show this. It's like Eve.
Did I hear a Steam notification pop up on your
Steam?
Yeah.
Oh, that's my phone. I think my phone went off.
Oh.
Yeah. So I'm like, yeah, some Discord. So I doubt it. Crab says, I don't think this is real. It's like an episode of The Apprentice. I mean, yeah, I think Trump and Vance had this plan because they know their base wants to end the Ukraine war. So if they show themselves being tough on Zelensky, it'll make their base happy, which it did. I mean, a lot of Trump.
I did see some good comments saying if only he was this tough towards Netanyahu.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've seen people on her side say that. Why is this chat keep popping up here? I don't need you. Piss off. But all right, so let's see this.
She's asking, what if Russia breaks the ceasefire?
What if anything? What if a bomb drops on your head right now? Okay? What if they broke it?
That's such a stupid question. Oh, what if Russia breaks the ceasefire? Why would they? If they get everything they want in a deal with Zelensky and Ukraine, why would they break that ceasefire?
Mm-hmm.
It's like the U.S. media is trying to pressure Trump into continuing the war.
Yeah.
It's a stupid question.
It reminds me of when,
go ahead. Yeah.
I was going to say, it reminds me of when Caitlin Collins in that town hall with Trump was saying, but do you support Ukraine? Do you support Ukraine? And he was like, I want people to stop dime. He's like, "Do you support Ukraine?" Remember that?
Yeah, she wanted Trump to say, "I support Ukraine." It's like
Yeah.
the whole Israel thing. Do you support Israel? Do you support Israel? Do you support Israel? If you're anti-Zionist to the U.S. media, you're anti-Israel.
Or when Piers Morgan is like, "Do you condemn Hamas?"
Oh God, Piers. Did you see that clip with Piers Morgan and George Galloway?
Yeah, I didn't see I didn't really see the clip, but I heard that George Galloway destroyed him. So
yeah. I mean, there was like a 5-minute clip going around on X where
and
Galloway.
Sam Cedar was part of it.
Oh yeah, I saw like what Sam Cedar's randomly on the show here. I mean, why? Like he affords nothing.
The one thing that I give Pierce credit, over all the other news journalists or whatever, is that he'll bring on anyone to talk to him about stuff, even if they're different compared to him. So at least I respect him for that.
Yeah. So, well, I'll be wrapping up soon, anyways, about 15 minutes or something. But let's see. Do you condemn Hamas? Yeah, it's so ridiculous. I mean,
they didn't respect him. They didn't respect Obama. They respect me. Let me tell you, Putin went through a hell of a lot. He went through a phony witch hunt where they used him and Russia. You ever hear of that deal? That was a phony Hunter Biden, Joe Biden.
Trump about to say phony bullshit, but he stopped himself.
Hillary Clinton, Shifty Adam Schiff. It was a Democrat.
Shifty Adam Schiff.
And he did go through it. We didn't end up in a war. And he went through it. He was accused of all that stuff. He had nothing to do with it. It came out of Hunter Biden's bathroom. It came out of Hunter Biden's bedroom. It was disgusting. And then they said, oh, the laptop from hell was made by Russia.
Bullshit.
The 51 agents. The whole thing was a scam.
It was.
And he had to put up with that. He was being accused of all that stuff. All I can say is this. He might have broken deals with Obama and Bush, and he might have broken them with Biden. He did, maybe. Maybe he didn't. I don't know what happened. But he didn't break them with me. He wants to make a deal. I don't know if you can make a deal.
I don't know.
The problem is, I've empowered you to be a tough guy. And I don't think you'd be a tough guy without the United States. And your people are very brave.
Well,
you're either gonna make
he can't be a
deal
tough
or
guy
we're
without the
out.
U.S.
And if we're out, you'll fight it out. I don't think it's going to be pretty.
It won't be.
You'll fight it out.
You'll die. Zelensky
You
will.
don't have the cards. But once we sign that deal, you're in a much better position. But you're not acting at all thankful. And that's not a nice thing. I'll be honest, that's not a nice thing.
That's not a nice thing.
All right, I think we've seen enough. What do you think? Huh? This is going to be great television, I will say that. All right. We'll see what we can do.
This is great television.
Well, this would have been much worse under Kamala.
Oh God, I mean, Trump was energized there and angry. So we've seen him a lot lately. We've noticed this, that he's kind of like, kind of low energy, like he accused Biden of being. So now that hyped him up. He was angry there.
Must have had an energy drink or something.
Yeah, he was angry there, like basically telling the media to fuck themselves. Because
and then you can play that Fox News clip that
I just lost it, but I can probably pull it up. Zelensky, if I can spell his name. Oops. Oh yeah, he's trending anyway. So.
Fred, Trump or Zelensky?
Why? I've had it with this. He has the vocabulary of a 5th grader. Yeah, Trump. Yeah, I mean he's kind of a moron. So even though he's not wrong about what he said about this war, but he's not. So this. Extraordinary. Before I get to the Fox News thing, this is funny. I mean, I have to. This is a tweet from, I guess, a reporter or something. Whoops. Why is it not sharing the screen? Look at this. In an extraordinary display of public support, heads of states, heads of government, and foreign ministers from all over Europe and Canada are posting support for Zelensky in response to the Oval Office meeting with Trump, Zelensky, and Vance. Yeah, look at this. All of Europe is in Canada. They're all kissing his ass. Like basically, they're trying to say who can kiss Zelensky's ass better. It's like no, I can. No, Germany can. Europe can. England can.
Joining the Donald Trump kiss my ass club.
Yeah, they're all going to join Zelensky's "Kiss My Ass" club because this is ridiculous. They're all kissing his ass. You know, it's like, oh, I can do it better. No. Spain can do it better. They're all kissing his ass. Latvia stands with Ukraine. Ukraine's victim of Russian aggression. That's not true. Let's see. We stand by Ukraine in their struggle for a just and lasting peace. The truth is simple. Russia invaded Ukraine. That's bullshit. Actually, they did invade Ukraine, but it's not like Russia is the aggressor that they keep claiming. Dear Zelensky, dear Ukrainian friends, you're not alone. Ukraine is not alone. We stand with Ukraine on the side of free in the free world, even though Zelensky doesn't allow for elections and arrests his political opponents. But, they ignore the truth. That doesn't matter. Slovenia upholds the principles of respect international law and international relations. What we witness in the Oval Office today undermines those values and the foundations of diplomacy. We stand in firm support of Ukraine's sovereignty. We repeat, Russia is the aggressor. Say it a million times, it must be true, right? Just keep repeating it. It is imperative that we nurture and protect democratic ideals, except Zelensky cancels elections, arrested political opponents, and banned political parties that against him, but ignore that part too. We must nurture and protect democratic ideals, ensuring that they reflect in our actions and interactions on the global stage. It is time for Europe to take the lead on the path to peace to Ukraine. You want to continue the war. What are you talking about? Peace. With the respect for international law. Bullshit. You want to keep fighting the Russians. And UN Charter, fairness above all, decency. So none but bullshit. We stand with Ukraine. Nobody wants peace more than Ukrainians do, but keep fighting for us, motherfucker. Yeah, nobody wants peace more than Ukraine, but you got to keep fighting for us because we don't want to fight the Russians, even though the Russians don't want to fight you either. But just ignore that part. Just spoke with Ukrainian Foreign Minister, whatever his name is, to affirm Canada's unwavering support for Ukraine. Canada remains committed to providing necessary assistance to ensure Ukraine's security, sovereignty, and resilience. And it keeps fucking going. It's like, I'm not gonna read all that. It's just so absurd. It's like it honestly. Am I the crazy one? I feel like I'm the only one who can see how bullshit this is.
No, you're not the only one. I mean,
yeah, I know, but it sometimes feels that way. It's like, so thank you for joining me, Steph. It's fine. We'll see you Sunday for Pro Wrestling Talk at 7 p.m. Eastern. We'll be reviewing the pay-per-view Elimination Chamber and talking about some other things.
That's right, yeah.
By
the way, I just want to mention I did find our last episode. It was on the in the Ocho channel.
Yeah, that's where we put it now. So, Brett Baer asked President Zelensky on Fox News if he'll step down after Lindsey Graham said he would. He should.
That's a shit lip account, by the way.
Oh, I know. I mean, guys, they have the fire emojis because of his answer. It's like,
oh my.
Let's see.
Yes, Americans vote for American president. Each European country vote for their president, and only Ukraine. With all respect to Lindsey, if I can say Lindsey, we know each other. Yes, and only Ukrainians.
Democrats.
No, he won't step down. He won't step down because, he's like, no, I mean, Ukrainians will vote for their president, except that you canceled elections. Mm-hmm. You haven't had elections, you took power. Like, what are you talking about? Oh, yeah, Ukrainians only vote for their president. No, they didn't. I mean, yeah, they elected you, and then you haven't had an election since. You've just been in power ruling by decree, basically. All right, we have more of this shitlib account. They keep sharing clips, but, I mean, they're good quality, so... Brett Baer asked President Zelensky on Fox News if he feels he owes Donald Trump an apology. No, I respect the president and I respect American people. I'm not sure we did something bad. So this is her commentary. Zelensky's nothing to apologize for. How about thank you for all the money we gave you. What you do with that money? You enrich yourself and your buddies, your political friends. I bet that's a lot of that money went.
Fire during all these years, 10 years.
So I'm not hearing from you, Mr. President, a thought that you owe the president an apology.
No, I respect president and I respect American
Ah,
people.
Bullshit.
And if
You don't respect
I
anybody.
don't know if
You don't respect us.
I think that we have to be very open and very honest. And I'm not
No,
sure
you're
that
not honest. You just lie.
we did something bad. I think maybe sometimes some things we have to
Sometimes,
discuss
sometimes.
out of media, with all respect to democracy and to a free media. But there are things that
Democracy.
where we have
No,
to
no,
understand.
you don't believe in democracy. It's like all respect with democracy and free media. Yeah, you don't have any of that. That's why you're mad about it. It's like, why are you asking me these questions, man? I don't want to hear this.
The position of Ukraine and Ukrainians, and I think that is the most important thing.
Hold on a
Yes.
second.
And Ukrainians.
Is that a booger on his nose or is that his hair? Right there.
Oh, I think that's just part of the hair shaved off for a little bit. I know.
Okay, yeah, because it looked like a booger. I keep looking at. Wait, what is that? All right, so we played that clip. Yeah, I mean, we still have a few more minutes. Let me see if I can find. Okay, so that's how we played that clip.
You should play that AI clip I mentioned that they were
Oh
fighting each
yeah,
other.
but if I can find it because I don't think I retweeted it or anything. I just saw it, So.
It's under the I just saw it if I can find it. Or
If you can tag me in it, I can play it real quick. So
I'll retweet it to you.
Okay. Zelensky takes an absolute beating in the Oval Office and then proceeded to be interviewed by Fox News, despite their bias in favor of Trump. The chap has incredible strength of character and integrity. I mean, shit lib accounts. So let's see what he said.
And for example,
I just sent
president
it
or
to you.
vice president or somebody or
Okay, I
senators,
can play
doesn't
after
matter,
this.
big politicians, yes, when they, for example, say that Ukraine is
Decided
almost destroyed, that our soldiers run away, that they are not heroes, that Ukraine lost millions of civilians.
Look, to be
that
clear,
his-
the army, the regular people who fought, who were forced to fight the Russians for no reason, they're heroic. Yeah, they're trying to fight the Russians. I mean, this motherfucker is not heroic. He's a puppet. He's a proxy for the U.S.'s imperialist war against Russia. That's the but the actual Ukrainian, like the regular military, unless they're the Azov battalion, then they can go fuck themselves. But the regular Ukrainian military, I mean, yeah, you can make the argument they're heroes, but not the Azov battalion. Those Nazis, no. But I'm talking about like the regular Ukraine military, because the Azov battalion is separate from the Ukrainian military, or at least that's what the allegation is. So, all right, let's see. Let's keep
his
going with that.
president is dictator, What is the
He's a
reaction? It's not
dictator.
about me. The reaction is that where is our friendship between Ukraine and the United States? That's
Okay, I can
this is
on Twitter,
killing. And that's why
because I can play that
do
too.
not want to lose our great partners at the United States. And
No, I'm sure you don't want to lose your great partners in the United States because the
Great
Biden
partners,
administration,
United
the Biden administration just opened up their treasury and gave it to you. So you definitely don't want to lose that partnership. I don't blame you, but you are going to lose it because the Trump administration not as friendly to you.
I just said that it's not the first time. I said it by phone, and we had some other conversations, and we had in Munich meetings, and I said, please, be correct. I want to be very polite. I mean this, be correct with this number. When you say about the number, each person is important. When you say about 1 million of losses, we don't have any million of losses. When you speak about the territories, maybe some territories and etc., it's not just territory, it's houses, it's people's lives. Their fathers, mother, their relatives, grandfather, they died or during this war. Nobody wants to forgive Putin. It's not funny. Or fairy tale. This is real life. That's what I said. And when you said it, a lot of times to my big friends, we've been here today in our dialogue,
Who are the
and
big
then
friends?
they
I don't know.
again begin to
What are you
repeat
referring to?
the same things.
Big
I think
friends.
it's not. I mean, that's why I said it's not good way between partners, good partners and
It's
friends.
not good way
Good
between
partners and
partners.
bad
Good
partners.
partners. He's like good partners.
Mhm.
That same chat again. Keep popping up. Let me see. Let me go through my mentions here. All right. Yeah. Okay, I got it. I got it. Fred, let me play this one first. So, this is the one. This is the AI video, which I should. So here we go. Alleged fight. If this actually happened for real, it would be
Yeah.
epic. I mean, this because seeing the president of the United States fighting, and the vice president kind of like, come on, let's do this. Let's fight in front of the press. Oh, that'd be brilliant. That'd be fantastic. And I was like, hey, look, Trump got into a fight. At least, but let's see.
Like when he tackled Mr. McMahon at WrestleMania.
Yeah. Again. All right. So. Okay, so this is the video of Zelensky was shared by Fred calling JD Vance a bitch, which I heard, which he did, but this is subtitled here, so let's check this out.
I have been to. I've actually watched and seen the stories, and I know.
Okay, so we played this clip, but I must have missed it. Let me see.
What happens is you bring them on a propaganda.
Okay,
tour.
so that wouldn't happen.
I've actually watched and seen the stories, and I know what happens is you bring them on a propaganda.
So apparently that was the Ukrainian for bitch. So. Where is it? Trying to make.
And I know what happens is you bring people.
So that's when he said it. It's like, it sounded like he's like he did that.
You bring them on a propaganda.
So it's like he said it like bitch, but he definitely said something there, and he's lucky that Zelensky doesn't understand him. But Trump is right next to him. He's like, "What you say? You said something, didn't you? Say it out loud." I would at least said to see what he would say. Say it in English too. I want to hear what you said. But he's ironically Zelensky is the one who's a bitch there. We're not saying it in English because that's Let me retweet this. Hold on. Let me send. Yeah, there you go. Thank you for that, Fred. Because I did see this, but I forgot. And then so let's see. Yeah, I mean, there's so many clips I could. It just drove me crazy. I stand with President Zelensky and Ukraine. Fuck JD and Trump, assholes. That's Brooklyn Dad. I'm not gonna even bother showing that motherfucker. So Brooklyn Dad, I'm as a random account. Never been a bigger fan of Zelensky than I am now. I mean, all these accounts are popping out of nowhere. Just. John Pavlitz says, I'm an American citizen who stands with Ukraine and against Donald Trump and the GOP. Congratulations on your virtue signaling, buddy. Yeah, I already played that clip. Let's see. This war would be over in 2 seconds if Putin just left Ukraine. Whose army is in whose country? Putin and his sympathizers. Again, this is so disingenuous. If you know the history in the last 10 years, hell, even before that, back in the 90s of why this happened, you wouldn't be so disingenuous here. I review technology from the inside. Like, why are you commentating on politics when you don't know shit about it? Yeah. I mean, you're getting in my territory here. Shut the fuck up. He's a Jerry Riggs everything. I review technology from the inside.
Jerry Riggs. Oh wait, that's the guy who does who breaks apart the phones and checks that guy, right?
Yeah, I'll show you. I've never seen him before, but if you have,
he's the guy who does the. Yeah, fuck. I like his videos, but yeah, his politics stuff is shit. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, don't get into my territory. I mean, you don't know shit about this. Yeah, obviously, if I sat him down and told him the last 30 years of history, he wouldn't know shit about this. Jerry Riggs everything said that. It's like, who are you?
Your phones videos and not the politics. That's where you're best. Shut the fuck up about your politics stuff.
Yeah, I mean, he keeps, and I never even heard of him, but now it's like, I'm sure he does good videos about phone and stuff. He has a lot of followers, but like, he shouldn't be commentating on politics. The King, let's see.
Yeah, he was a Biden supporter, so I knew him in 2020. So yeah.
I'm sickened by that degrading spectacle. And to think the bust of Winston Churchill was in the same room as this unfolded, he'd be turning over in his grave if he saw that happen. Ukraine people, led by President Zelensky, have fought bravely to hold off Putin over the last 3 years with U.S. and European support.
This just makes me so glad that Kamala isn't president right now.
Yes, oh my God, if she was elected, this war would have not only continued but expanded.
Yeah.
And hell, we'd probably be in World War III right now. I mean, because they would have expanded this war, because Kamala Harris basically said, remember, she said on The View, what's one thing you would do different than Joe Biden? And she's like,
there's not one thing in mind.
One thing I can think of. And the only thing she said is, oh, well, I would appoint a Republican to my administration. It's like, oh, wow, great, you would appoint a Republican, kind of like Obama did with Robert Gates. Fought bravely. Zelensky has shown sincere gratitude for the support of Ukraine, support offered by his partners. We salute him and his courageous Ukrainians as they fight for freedom against Russian imperialism.
I don't get how they're all pregnant. He looked like a total bitch during that that meeting.
Yeah, this is Robert Jendrich, the member of parliament for Newark, Shadow Lord Counselor, Secretary of State for Justice. So this is from the UK. He's a politician from the UK.
By the way, I'm not sure if you're noticed. You're not showing the tweets on the screen. I'm not sure if you noticed.
Oh well, I mean, I didn't notice that, but yeah, I mean, I could show a few more, but I was reading them out loud just to show you guys, or for you guys to hear how much bullshit this is. Chat GPT knows what's up. Let me show you this. This is Primo Radical. He talked to Chat GPT. He's like, is Voldemort Zelensky a dictator? And he said, yes, Voldemort Zelensky is a dictator. So Chat GPT even knows what's going on. Is Zelensky still getting weapons paid for by Americans delivered to Ukraine today? Grok says yes. So yeah, even the AIs are like, yeah, it's total bullshit. This narrative. So this pissed off John Boehner, or John Bolton rather. I want to show this. The neocon. The neocon, ladies and gentlemen. He says Trump and Vance have declared themselves to be on Russia's side in the Russo-Ukraine war. This is a catastrophic mistake for American national security.
What?
Yeah, Russo, like RUSSO. Because it's Russophobia. You know, that's what people who are unreasonably afraid of Russia. But it's another way. It's like Russia. This catastrophic mistake for America's national security. Let's be clear. Trump and Vance now personally own that policy. It is not the view of majority of Americans of either or no political party. All right. So this is like 9 minutes. I'm not sure. I'll play some of it, but.
This is a portion of what just happened moments ago in the Oval Office.
For them. Well, if I didn't align myself with both of them, you'd never have a deal. You want me to say really terrible things about Putin and then say, hi, Vladimir, how are we doing on the deal? That doesn't work that way.
That's a good point.
I'm not aligned with Putin. I'm not aligned with
That's not a bad point. I mean, it's, oh, yeah, I'm going to call him a piece of shit or whatever, like you want me to. It's, oh, hey, how you doing, Vladimir? It's like, you can't really do that. It's not diplomacy. But American media is like, do you denounce Hamas? Do you denounce Russia? Do you do this? Do you do that? They demand answers to that. And I'm like, well, I can't do that. I mean, it's, it's diplomacy. I'm not going to actively do a lot of this stuff.
With anybody. I'm aligned with the United States of America and for the good of the world. I'm aligned with the world. And I want to get this thing over with. You see the hatred he's got for Putin. It's very tough for me to make a deal with that kind of hate. He's got tremendous hatred.
He's got tremendous hatred for Putin, man. I mean, look at this guy. I mean, he has Putin derangement syndrome. He didn't say that. I just added that, but
understand that. But I can tell you the other side isn't exactly in love with, him either. So it's not a question of alignment. I'm aligned with the world. I want to get the thing set. I'm aligned with Europe. I want to see if we can get this thing done. You want me to be tough? I could be tougher than any human being you've ever seen. I'd be so tough. But you're never going to get a deal that way. So that's the way it goes. I have more questions.
Hey, I will respond to this. So look, For 4 years in the United States of America, we had a president who stood up at press conferences and talked tough about Vladimir Putin, and then Putin invaded Ukraine and destroyed a significant chunk of the country. The path to peace and the path to prosperity is maybe engaging in diplomacy. We tried the pathway of Joe Biden of thumping our chest and pretending that the President of the United States' words mattered more than the President of the United States' actions. What makes America a good country is America engaging in diplomacy. That's what President Trump is doing.
Can I ask you?
Well, again, that's not wrong.
Can I
I
ask
mean,
you?
they tried to do this. Oh yeah, fuck Putin. Putin needs to go. At one point, Biden like Putin needs to go. Like, they said, what are you going to do? A regime change? It's like, oh no, we're not in the White House. Oh no, we're not going to do that.
Who needs to go?
That's right. All right, so let me see what Zelensky says here.
Sure. Yeah.
This is
Okay.
Okay.
So he occupied our parts, big parts of Ukraine, part of East and Crimea. So he occupied it on 2014. So during a lot of years, so I'm not speaking.
2014, he only occupied Crimea. Like, we went into Crimea. He didn't occupy Donetsk and the Donbass region. That's a lie. He did that now recently, not 10 years ago.
About just Biden, but those time was Obama, then President Obama, then President Trump, then President Biden, now President Trump, and God bless, now President Trump will stop him. But during 2014, nobody stopped him. He just occupied and took. He killed people. You know what the contact
2015.
2014 and 2014.
2014?
Yeah. So
I was not here.
I was not here.
Exactly right.
Yes, but during 2014 till 2022, the situation the same. The people have been dying on the contact line. Nobody stopped him. You know that we had conversations with him, a lot of conversation, my bilateral conversation, and we signed with him. Me, like a new president. In 2019, I signed with him the deal. I signed with him, Macron and Merkel. We signed ceasefire. All of them
talking about the ceasefire that him, Macron, and Angela Merkel signed. I guess he said Merkel. Yeah, he signed ceasefire. It was like, what? Okay.
Told me that he will never go. We signed him with gas contract. Yes, but after that, he broken this ceasefire. He killed our people, and he didn't exchange prisoners. We signed the exchange of prisoners, but he didn't do it. What kind of diplomacy, JD, you are speaking about? What do you mean?
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes, but if you
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this.
All right, so we already seen the rest of this. This is when they get into that argument. But yeah, I mean, like, he's like, well, he doesn't trust Putin to do peace because allegedly there's supposed to be a prisoner transfer and it never happened. I don't know how true that is. I mean, Zelensky tends to lie, so it could be true, but at the same time, it could be bullshit. I would have to look more into that. So I'm not going to say it's a lie or not, but I would assume it's a lie, honestly, because Zelensky tends to lie. But yeah. So that's we're gonna wrap up here tonight. I want to thank everybody for joining us. Make sure you give me that like and subscribe. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out in the chat. I know apparently Kid is live right now, which is I'm sure most people have left already. But I want to thank everybody for watching. Make sure you give me that like and subscribe if you haven't already. And if you have, thank you very much. As well, in my donation links in the description box below, if you want to, help out the show in some way, I greatly appreciate it. If not, just give me a like, subscribe, hang out in the chat. We will have a good time here for a couple hours every week.
And I think rest talk on Sunday at 80.
Yeah. Pro Wrestling Talk is this Sunday at 7. We're going from 7 to 9 because I know Andy and Reef are doing their show at 10. So I need that extra hour of buffer. You never know if we go long. But Pro Wrestling Talk will be at 7 this week or on Sunday because we're watching me and Steph are watching a pay-per-view on Saturday, so tomorrow. So it won't be on tomorrow. But make sure if you're interested, hang out with us on Sunday night at 7. So I want to thank everybody for watching. Let me read this. Ukraine violated 2 Minsk agreements that would have kept Ukraine whole, and then backed out of the Istanbul agreement that had Donetsk and Luhansk region, the Donbass, part of the Russian Federation. Yeah, I remember that. Okay, thank you, Fred. Yeah, I do remember that happening. So again, Ukraine broke the ceasefire or broke the agreement, and that like, oh well, Putin broke the agreement. Oh, bull fucking shit. He didn't want a war. It's obvious, or else he would have invaded all of Ukraine 10 years ago. But yeah, I digress though. Thanks everybody for watching. Love you all. We'll see you on Sunday for Pro Wrestling Talk. If not, we'll see you next Friday for another episode of Angel in the Afternoon. Have a nice weekend, everybody.
Got a new show coming this coming Thursday, I believe he mentioned. So.
Oh yeah, he mentioned that yesterday. He's doing the Politically Homeless show. He's doing it on a new channel with him and Greg and stuff. So yeah, check that out. I don't have the link, or else I would have probably put in the chat. But we'll put in the chat next week for sure. And thank you very much, everybody, and we'll see you guys.